Hello and welcome to the Female Founder Friday podcast with me, Lindsay White. I'm passionate about helping female entrepreneurs be great leaders, build high-performing teams, and create inspiring workplace cultures through innovative talent programs and practices. Because when people feel like they belong at work, they deliver their very best and businesses thrive. The Female Founder Friday podcast is all about connecting with the most incredible female entrepreneurs to talk about their journey to creating their own business, the mistakes they've made along the way, and how they view their own leadership. And I'm challenging all of my guests this season to take my leadership style quiz. And during each episode, we'll be digging into their leadership style and how it impacts the way they lead in their life and their business. And if you're interested in learning more about your leadership style and want some of my top tips to help you lead more effectively, you can take the quiz right now. Just check out the show notes or head over to highvoltageleadership.ca and click on the button at the top of the page that says Take the Quiz. Then you can share your results, connect with my guests, and join the conversation on Instagram by following me at highvoltleadership. Awesome. Well, I want to welcome to the podcast this afternoon, Payal and Kajal. These two ladies have been making jewelry basically as long as they can remember. First working with their dad in the jewelry industry, like over 30 years ago, helping him in his business at, what must have been a very young age. And I can imagine that really fostered both of your desire for entrepreneurship and really creating those beautiful relationships with clients because, jewelry does tell the story. It's pieces of art that we all wear. So during the pandemic, these two incredible ladies had their own idea for business adventures, but it was really around the jewelry that's their common passion. So I'm excited to have you both here today to talk about this journey, because that's what this is all about. So welcome to the show. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, it's absolutely a pleasure. So, you two must have been in the jewelry industry basically as soon as your dad could put you in the store. It sounds like.
Basically, yeah.
I do.
Yeah,
I love that.
Most afternoons here after school, when he needed help, like on the weekends with like inventory or like labeling or whatever that was, anything that he could do to get some extra hands out here, he definitely utilized. Yeah.
I love it. Nothing like a little free labor. Yeah, that's awesome. So this love of jewelry it's a family business and it runs deep for both of you. So tell us about your journey here. It sounds like something shifted for you in the pandemic, starting a couple years ago. What happened?
Yeah. So like you mentioned, us growing up here, and then during the pandemic, we had a lot of our friends that kind of came to us knowing who we were and what our dad did. And they were kind of like, hey, we need help. We're trying to make this next step. We've never purchased jewelry. And so as we started helping our friends, we realized that there's such a lack of transparency in the jewelry market. And so we were like, this is something that we can fill that gap and, be that best friend that you need along the way when you're spring shopping and, you want that honest opinion and you want that transparency. And so we were like, we could do this. And we knew we always wanted to be in the jewelry industry. It was kind of like where we were going to go. And when we started taking diamond classes and getting GIA certified, we started learning about lab growns and how they were eco-friendly, and we kind of just like dove right in and got certified, started Sonu, and here we are. Yeah.
I love that. I love that you got your own twist on the family business. That's super cool. Yeah.
I think for us, something that was important was finding our niche and like what we wanted to bring to the market.
Right.
And so, everyone has kind of like that fairy tale love story that they're hoping for, and this is such an important moment and that next step for them that we really love being a part of their story.
Yeah, that's so cool. So okay, tell us a little bit more about what you actually do. What does that look like?
Yeah, so Sonu Company is a bespoke engagement ring and fine jewelry brand. And our goal with with Sonu was to make diamonds accessible to everyone. It is not, it's not a luxury that only certain people are able to attain. There is a budget and a piece of jewelry out there for everyone. And that's what Sonu is here for. We are going to be here to find that piece of item that fits you and fits what you want, whether that be natural or whether that be lab grown. Just being able to provide a piece of jewelry for everyone.
Yeah. And I'm sort of looking at your website right now, and I see that you really do help people design and create that vision that is in their head, which isn't always easy.
Yeah, I think going the custom route is very difficult for a lot of people. You might have a vision, and as you're trying to explain it to me, I might have what you're thinking, but we might not be on the same page. And so one thing that we do a little bit more uniquely is we will create a sketch of your ring, of any jewelry that you're getting custom made with us prior to us making anything. We will computer sketch it out for you. You will see everything front, back, side, upside down. You'll see every angle. And then from there, once you approve that for us, we will go straight into production, and what you see is what you get. And so there's no guessing in the custom process.
Yeah. I love that. And in the intro and in the bio, you talk about the relationships and creating, jewelry, especially I think about engagement and wedding rings. That is so deeply personal. Right? So how do you create that connection with your clients so that you really understand what they're looking for?
I think a lot of it has to do with listening, basically, really understanding what's important to them. When you go into any jewelry store and you start looking at diamonds, that there is a certain grading scale. There's different types. What is most important to you? I think we'll always start there. So we're making sure that with the budget that they have set aside, what's most important, and we will make sure those are things that we maximize on. And then we also give them suggestions on what are areas that they can go down a grade, or where they can compromise a little bit more, just so they're still getting something beautiful, but we're making sure that they can still it's still accessible to them.
Well, and I love this concept of transparency. You're talking with clients about really important and bespoke pieces of jewelry. I talk with clients about, building their team and being a great leader in their business. But transparency is always critical. That same concept translates, right? And I think about, that world of diamonds, and you talk about being GAI certified. That's kind of confusing for normal people. We don't know what that is.
Yeah. So when people come and, we will tell them this is what, we'll use all the technical terms. We'll talk about clarity. We'll talk about color, and we'll educate them a little bit. And, when you go to a normal big box retailer, they will tell you, hey, you're buying a diamond, you got to buy the best of the best, you got to go to the highest quality. But that's necessarily not true. You could get a beautiful diamond and still go with a VS, which is mid-lower, and still get a beautiful diamond, but at a quarter of the price. And so we will tell our customers that, there is no need for you to go, flawless or decolor. You can go, a little bit lower and still get something very nice. 100%.
I just love that you take the time to explain it, because I think that's where a lot of the emotion gets, first of all, it's a lot of money, right? Often these are expensive rings. Let's be honest. Yes. You know that whether you're doing it together, or maybe you're a gentleman, you're buying this ring for your partner, they're going to wear it forever, right? It's going to be meaningful. It's going to have a big story attached to it. So there's a lot of emotion there. And then you tie that up with, I don't even understand what these words are she's using. That could create just a lot of frustration and anxiety, I would think.
And a lot of pressure, just, making sure you're buying the right thing, or if someone's telling you the truth about what you're buying. So,
But I also think that comes to the relationship itself, right? Now we've seen a huge shift that partners will come in together, work with us to design that ring. So they're making sure that, yes, if I'm going to spend this much, it's going to be exactly what they're looking for and what they're going to love. And so we think that's super great. We get to see them and what's important to them. And then really the proposal becomes their surprise aspect of, their next step.
I love that. That must be really rewarding to be a part of that story.
Oh, 100%. When we get the text from clients that, she said yes, or they'll send us a photo like after they've proposed, or with her like admiring her ring, it's so exciting. We get so excited. We're like, oh my god, did you see it? Or like, if we know somebody is going to propose on a certain date, like we're ready. We're on social media. We're watching. We're like, oh god, do you think it happened? Yeah.
I love that. We get so invested with our clients, right? Okay, one more thing I want to ask you. What does your dad think about all of this?
Oh, he's our biggest supporter.
Yeah, he loves it. Yeah. He's so happy that like we're in his industry. Like he's always like, okay, I think like, this is working, but I think we can also do it this way, or we can also do this, or, so he's very, very involved. He's very supportive.
And he's kind of like our mentor along the way.
Of course.
We are still learning as we go there. We will never know everything right away. And so he's kind of like our mentor where he's like, oh, okay, you guys could do it this way, or you could do it that way. So it's great having him around.
Aw, I love that. I think that's really important.
He's more beneficial to us than we are. I think he gets 100 calls from us a day like that. Okay, so like, what about this? Yeah. And so, I'm sure if you ask him, he plays so different.
Yeah, maybe we should have him on the show just for a minute. No, I kid. But I think that, you know what? I think that's really cool. I mean, I think it can be challenging to be in the family business. We've certainly had people on here before that, that as guests that have been a part of the family business and said, no, I kind of want to do my own thing. And that causes stress too. So I love that, the businesses are compatible and that you look at him like the mentor that he really is. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, well, I had these two beautiful ladies take my leadership style quiz. And if you want to take the quiz, if you haven't done it yet, you need to do it right now. You can find the link in the show notes. You can also go to highvoltagecoaching.ca and you can find the link at the top of the page. And it says, take the quiz. And it only takes a few minutes. Like, it's easy to complete. And then you can compare your answers and see where you line up in terms of your leadership style. So ladies, what did you get? What was your leadership styles?
I think we were both supporting.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I think that kind of matches us being a dual team.
Yes.
We balance each other so well while we're working, whether, she might need something with some help or I need help. Like, we support each other along the whole way. We don't have any other employees, so it's just us two.
Yeah, I think being sisters, but also business partners, has its own set of challenges.
Sure it does.
But it also comes with a handful of additional perks.
Yeah.
The way we communicate, the way things get done, and I think just the way we work together. I think because we know how each other is, like, to our core.
Yeah.
We think it helps navigate, difficult conversations or when we don't agree, and how we navigate that conversation, like, post that moment.
I love it. So I just want to congratulate you both because I have a sister who I love dearly. Shout out to her. I wouldn't dream of working with her. And I know that she would say the same. I know she would say the same.
Ask us maybe 5 to 7 years ago, we might have said the same thing, right. But we've definitely grown.
Totally. But I love that. And I think it's super interesting that you both have this supporting leadership style, and how you see that really showing up in the way that you're working together, you're building a business. I have little doubt you'll have your own employees very soon. You seem like really driven, so that I'm sure will come without too much trouble. But how the interplay of that works in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. So,
and I think reason why we are both very similar is also watching our dad, with his employees and the way he navigates them. And, it's not like a stressful environment. We're all working together. We're here to be a team. And so I think that's where we get it from.
I love it. Okay. So I want to flip it around a little bit and I want to ask you, same style of leadership. How do you each do it a little bit differently? Trick question.
Yes.
I think for me, I'm prior to, me going full time with with Kajal and Sonu Company, I went the traditional corporate 9 to 5 route, and that's, where I was for the first bulk of my career. And so, that structure and like, being overly organized or overly like, on top of like certain buckets of things that we need to do, I think, it's very different. That's very different compared to how Kajal is. She's way more like, we got this. We'll figure it out. We're growing and we're going. And I'm just like, no. What time does the flow start? Like, that doesn't work for me.
Okay, I love that. I think that's actually really cool, and it sounds really complimentary, actually. Yeah.
It's good. We have someone that's overly organized, and I'm like, okay, we'll figure it out as we go, and we meet each other in the middle.
Yeah, that's super cool, because co-leading, it's hard enough to be a leader all by yourself in your own business, but when you have to actually lead with someone else, you have to co-lead. That's one of the hardest leadership things to do, I think. So that you have found this space where you can really appreciate each other's strengths and the differences and meet each other in the middle. I actually think that is really cool.
Thank you.
You are welcome. You are welcome. And your sisters. So there's that. Yes. What about, this is, you've been in business. Well, you've been in business for a long time, but in your own business for a few years now. And I love to ask my guests, like, where have you made some mistakes or missteps along the way? And what have you learned from those? Because I think there's so much to be gained when we think about what we got from messing around, as they say, right?
Yeah. Some mistakes I would say is, kind of not like thinking out our whole, what am I trying to say? Like
biting off more than we can chew.
Yeah.
Or
okay, fair enough.
Doing too much too fast, I guess is, we launched and we had a great first year, and so we were like, hey, we really want to push this like on our marketing front, and we didn't take the time to really kind of figure out like what were our goals with that, like what did we want to see out of that, what did we want to see kind of working with an agency. I just think like we just weren't fully ready or knowledgeable like what that meant, and I think that's one thing we definitely regret. We talk about quite often, like that's something that we probably didn't need to do right then and there. And so that was a big learning curve.
And then one thing that we learned is like we have to be patient. Nothing comes right away. And whether that is like you're looking at your data for your number for marketings or what's happening within the product side, we have to be patient and to see it actually grow. So that's like our number one, I think.
When entrepreneurs talk about that slow grind, it's very much a slow grind, but you're working a little bit every day to hopefully start to see it snowball as you start to grow.
You know what? I think beautiful points. And I don't think you're alone in like, you see some success in your business at the beginning, and you're so energized by that. I think we all kind of fall victim to that. And we're like, yeah, we need to grow this. This is going to be awesome. And let's get we need a marketing agency. We need some ads. Like, let's do this. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. What are we doing? Yes.
Yeah, and you don't realize how fast those things kind of just drain your capital. And we started Sonu with just us two. Nobody from outside, and it was a big learning curve for us in the beginning.
I can tell you that I have been on that learning curve too. And it is really tricky. And you tell me if this is true for you, but I think there's a lot of messages out there on social platforms about, we just have to, it's just these 5 tips for social media. It's just, do reels, do like all of these different things. And actually, if they're not really connected to a strategy and ultimately to your business plan, then that's all they are, is you're just doing a bunch of things.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Yes.
Agreed.
I can tell you that I have fell victim to that myself, and I've heard that lots on this show through the interviews. And it is one of those lessons that I'm not even sure if somebody told you that be like you would even listen. Like you kind of have to learn that one the hard way, I think.
Yeah, you just have to go through it and come out a little bit wiser and
yeah, 100%.
Decision.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. And I think that's why I like to ask this question on the show, because if we can talk about, oh geez, that's one thing I would go back and do differently. And we could potentially give someone else a little bit of oh, wait a minute. I was actually thinking about doing that. If we could save someone from that, wouldn't that be nice? Right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So, okay. So, thank you for that. Tell me, like, what's next? What's next in your business? What's next for the two of you?
So much. We are hoping to expand our product line on Sonu Company. So we have actually just recently launched ready-to-wear engagement rings, because we know not everyone wants to go the custom route.
Yeah.
Also, if you're pinched for time and you don't have 8 weeks to go through our custom process, we've kind of taken a lot of our popular designs and turned them into ready-to-wear items.
I love that. Right? Like you've got enough sort of understanding of the client now to be able to offer something a little bit different. That makes a lot of sense to me.
And then hopefully in the future, we are hoping to expand to Mangosutras, which are traditional chains that we wear when we are getting married. But we are hoping to modernize it a little bit.
Yes.
And, for the newer generation, not too many want the traditional ones. So we're hoping to kind of bridge that modern and traditional gap of those necklaces.
Our thought process is like, if they're gonna get you one anyways, let's get you something that you're gonna wear.
Yeah. Well, isn't that the truth? Well, still honoring the beauty and the culture, right? Which I think is really lovely. I think that's really smart. And you two certainly have your fingers on the pulse of what brides want. And so I can imagine what you're going to come up with is going to be spectacular.
We can't wait. 2023, rest of 2023 and 2024 is going to be big for Sonu. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you both. It's just been such a pleasure to have you on the show this afternoon. What a lovely conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's kind of nice to talk to someone that's like telling us they understand our struggles and we're not alone.
No. And I appreciate you saying that, because that's what this show is all about. It's nice when the guests feel that way, but that's certainly what the message we want to deliver to everyone that's listening. You're not alone. We are all we've all had an interesting journey. We all are leaders in our business, and yep, we've all made mistakes. Me too. And
I'm sure we're going to make plenty more
yes.
along the way.
Unfortunately, we will, but it's what we do. It's what we do, what we learn, and how we grow from those things that are the most important.
Yes.
And we're, female founders, I think we got to stick together as we grow our businesses and grow our networks and all of those things. So I'm so grateful that you said that. Thank you so, so much.
Of course.
Recording stopped.
Wonderful.
Great.
That was a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much. No, that was really, I love these, because every single one of these conversations is different. And that's what makes it really fun for me to do. And I get to connect with amazing ladies like you.
Yeah, I think we've discussed this within ourselves, but we've never really talked about our struggles and our mistakes, and so it's kind of nice to just let it all out there.
Yeah,
a little cathartic. I like that.
That this was the mistake that we're thinking of.
No, I think that was actually really valuable, because I do think so. Of course, like you probably do, I have people in my network that are marketing pros. Some of them I would count as like business besties, and actually, they talk about that. It really doesn't serve your purpose, right? If you really haven't been very clear about the business plan, the direction, and then you just jump into marketing, yeah, you kind of are spinning your wheels. And so I think that's actually a really valuable conversation that you brought to the episode today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
And like everyone thinks like you need to like invest in your advertising dollars, invest in your ads, and get your name out there. And it's like there's so much more that can happen organically first before, so you can then see like the results you're hoping for with your ads. And so I think that took us a little bit of a learning curve, like once we stopped with the agency. But now I think we have like
we've grown so much organically, more than we did with the agency.
And we just do like very minimal paid advertising right now, like on social media and things like that. But a lot of it does come from us.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in today. I sure hope you enjoyed listening as much as I did hosting this conversation. And if you did enjoy today's episode, would you do me a favor? Would you give the episode a 5-star review and share it with all of your friends? I would really appreciate that. I've got a goal to impact 1,000 female founders, and with your help, we can really amplify this message. Thanks again for being a part of the show, and don't forget to connect with me and all of my guests on Instagram at High Volt Leadership. We'll see you next Friday.